Our first panel of the day, we're calling Channel Chiefs. Obviously, you know some of the people up here, so I think that makes some sense. Before I allow our Channel Chiefs to introduce themselves, I thought I'd share a little bit of information about, from a survey about Channel Chiefs. And then we're gonna have some fun with it, all right? First, the average tenure of a Channel Chief is 2.5 years. The average tenure pre-pandemic was a little bit longer. So here we are. That's gonna be a fun part of the conversation. Second, most of the suppliers in this space are pushing their channel chips onto the table. 73% are increasing investment. 86% are in heavy channel recruitment right now. And as evidenced by the stage, 24% of channel leaders are female.
How did that work out?
I don't know. It's amazing how the math worked out up here. It wasn't conscious at all. But what I'm going to do is ask each of you. We'll start from Tyler's side, I think, if we pull this up. Actually, we'll start from Chris's side and work through Tyler. Introduce yourself, but if you would do it in the context of how long you've been doing what you're doing and sort of how the company at a high level is pushing the chips into the channel, if you would.
Sure, absolutely. Chris Jones with AT&T. I've been doing this in this space for 7 years, so I'm on the top side of your average. Although Friday I made an announcement that may tweak your...
It's gonna mess the math, man.
It's gonna mess your math up.
Yep.
But AT&T is heavily investing in the channel. There's a lot of effort, there's a lot of focus, there's a big commitment to doing more and more. We've been really invested for the last 7 years, but we're doing, I would call it waves. Mm-hmm. There's another big wave right now at AT&T where we're looking to do more and more through the channel.
Perfect. Chris?
Good morning. I'm Chris McFarland. I'm the Chief Development Officer for Comcast. Prior to that, I was the CEO of Masergy. I've been in the industry longer than I'd like to think, because I'm 30 plus years at this point and kind of 20 plus years in the current role. I'm also not the channel chief for Comcast. Yes. Matt Faznot's here in the room. He's the actual channel chief. He thought with me being here and the long history that I've had with Bridgepointe that it might be appropriate for me to spend some time on stage with everybody.
Phil, you're here. I saw you look over a little bit to make sure we had your title right, so you had to check and see what you were. I love that. Charlie.
Thanks, Scott. Charlie Pagliazzo with Granite Telecommunications. I've been responsible for Granite Channel for over 21 years. Yep. I was fortunate enough to initiate the channel at Granite, sort of my baby, I guess. Yep. And our investment in the channel is pure and simple about how do we go where we need to go as a technology provider versus perhaps what people knew of us in the past. And the channel's ability and strategist's ability to bring our solutions to the table with end users is paramount to our success going forward.
Fantastic. Appreciate that. Bree?
Good morning. So my name is Brianna Kuhl, and I'm the channel chief, newly appointed channel chief for Lumen. I actually wear 2 hats at Lumen. I am responsible for the entire global partnership solution team. That includes both the channel, that has been this long legacy channel for a really long time, and then also sort of some of the new next generation routes to market that we're trying to focus on to really try to scale the business. And it's very important to me, so I've kind of taken on this appointed role of channel chief. My predecessor left 2 months ago, and so now I'm kind of taking off and spearheading all of the interactions with you guys and some of the other partners, and it's been a really fun ride so far.
Gotcha. What did you say? What was the drink last night?
Oh gosh, the Blackberry Old Fashioned. Why are you bringing that up?
I just thought it's an appropriate introduction to the channel, Bree. That's why.
Oh, please. That was an easy.
I love that you like it. Tyler. Tyler, go ahead.
All right, Tyler Apolloni. Excited to be here. Thank you for having me here today. So background-wise, I'm entering year 2 for me, leading the headquarter strategy for Verizon Business with the channel. Yep. 4th year in the channel, though. So just kind of future aspirations over the last 3 years, the amount of business that we've done through all of our various channel programs has doubled, with aspirations over the next 3 years, or I guess my charter they've given me is to double that again over the next 3 years. So big investments coming from Verizon, continued big investments coming from Verizon in the channel.
Awesome. And thrilled to have you here. This is a new relationship for Bridgepointe in terms of being directly engaged. So great to have you guys here as well. Let's just quickly talk about the market. You guys saw this. It's a big, honking, gigantic market. There's lots for us to sell, right? And up here we have the stalwarts in the industry on the carrier and infrastructure side. And you know me, I'm getting right at it. Here we have a market, however, in the traditional connectivity space that is not expected necessarily to grow from a CAGR perspective year over year, right? Largely kind of takeaway or kind of adding strategic services. So I want to get right to that. Let's just dive directly into kind of where you guys want to be. What's your growth focus? I'm going to start with Chris. Comcast, you guys do a little bit of everything, including theme parks these days. So what are you're responsible for that direction as Chief Development Officer. Where are you really investing from a product perspective, aside from what we already know? What do you want us to bring to you? What's interesting?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. And, if there's a few things that I want to share with the broader team today, it's one that, Comcast business specifically is growing dramatically. Just to give you a sense, we're a scaled business, a little over $10 billion in revenue. This year, organically, we'll grow about $450 million-ish, plus or minus 20 million. And that's, in public filings, so I'm not disclosing anything that's privately held. But we have significant inertia. And our two primary routes to market are, we've got a massive go-to-market engine on the direct side, and then we have a phenomenal machine through the channel, and more specifically, relationships like that we have with Bridgepointe. And so we're investing in infrastructure solutions and go-to-market engine growth. And so you'll, if you get a chance to spend some time with Matt or Albert or Eric or here in the room and at the events over the next couple of days, you'll get some time to learn a little bit more of those details. But on the products and solutions side is probably where I'm the most excited. We feel like we're at a point in time inside of Comcast where we can meet a business wherever they want, however they want, and no opportunity is too small and no opportunity is too large. But we also fundamentally believe that cybersecurity needs to be at the precipice of everything that we do. And so we're all in from that standpoint. So inside of it, we have this long-term ambition to be the global enterprise dominant player in secure networking. So think about technologies like SASE, SSE, SD-WAN. And if you think about what we need to do for all businesses, whether it's a medium-sized business, a small business, a large enterprise, or a Fortune 500 company, it's a lot of the same things. And so our investments around, being able to detect anomalies and then respond to it, no matter whether it's an endpoint device, a next-generation firewall, or a VPN user. And so the technologies that we're investing there, it makes for a lot more robust discussion, regardless of the size of the company. And we think that when we take a combination of these managed services around cyber and network and edge, and then combine it with our transport network. And the other thing that you've probably heard about is we've been investing outside of our core Comcast MSA footprint. So this past year, we added 300 new go-to-market people, some direct, some indirect. You'll hear from Matt if you spend time with him that we're adding resources all over North America. And we've decided to compete everywhere. And that's both in North America and Western Europe. And so we've got these things going. So when you see these really large opportunities, our infrastructure is global. We're all in on enterprise. And I will tell you that we're still, kind of a, high single-digit market share provider. So we think there's tremendous amount of opportunity and growth as we see this next wave of technology shift, which is what we're right in the middle of right now on the networking side.
Got it. And just quickly, we had a conversation yesterday. You're interested in being that gateway in some cases for the right customer, even if you are not the underlying access provider. Is that something we can talk about with you?
Yeah, 100%. We are agnostic to transport. Of course, if it's in markets where we think we have economic advantages, we'd love to use our transport, but it doesn't matter. We've got over 100 vendors that we work with that are not our underlying transport, and we've even entered into agreements with low orbiting Earth satellite companies so that we can reach everyone.
Gotcha. Bree, I'm going to ask you a question here. If you Jeff Martin is very well known in this audience, and if anybody who talks to him, he will say you guys push more next-gen services on Lumen's network than anyone. Talk a little bit about that, sort of where your focus is, and how are you managing the organization?
So it's going to be a fun ride, and this is a new endeavor for Lumen as we're on this journey from going from telco to a techco, which includes every single partner type, right? And so that's where I come from, actually. I've spent 25 years in the space on the business application partnership side, so I know what success looks like through those other routes to market. Like I said, the next generation of partners are GSIs and ISVs and hyperscalers and all of the different ones that maybe Lumen hasn't really played in so well over the years because we have this big, giant, successful telco channel. So we want to do a little bit of keeping the momentum on that side, but at the same time growing the business on the other sides to see if there's any services or any solutions that we can create and be innovative around that complement the networking and the connectivity. So as we start getting away from the connectivity or the commodity play and start selling from a solution perspective, I think that's the huge opportunity for growth. And Lumen's jumping in. I mean, a couple months ago, our CEO, Kate Johnson, woman. Our CRO, woman. Channel chief, woman. And I know I'm losing all the audience because I think I see like 5 women in here. So.
The audience that is also 75% men, right?
I know. I'm just trying to, spin up something here. Anyway, so Kate Johnson said, I think on Mad Money or something like that, that we are going to be 70% of our sales is going to be produced through the channel by 2027. So what that means is we've got a lot of work to do because we're not there yet, and we have got to start thinking about this more holistically and going to market in a different way, which is why Bridgepointe is so important to that, mainly because of the way you guys operate and the way that you guys are set up to really drive that, that collaboration with Lumen in a way that's unique.
She said that on Mad Money. It's fact now, so we're good.
No, don't quote me on it. It might have been Forbes. I don't remember. It was something, I promise you.
Anybody else care to weigh in on growth categories there? Anything to say?
I just think, as we think of areas of growth, what are they? I think the slide you had up before was if core connectivity is a diminishing market or a market that's not growing as fast as other markets, then I think everyone on this stage are looking at how do we bring that holistic solution, what we call above the network. So everything above the network, whether that's security, CX solutions, et cetera. So we're really diving in there to ensure that we show up the right way for customers.
Got it.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, we have a slightly different stated corporate objective, which is, if you think about AT&T, we're actually simplifying our portfolio, and we're simplifying a lot of the stuff we're focused on, which I think the benefit to all of you is the more services you sell, the more complex you try to be in front of a customer, the more challenging you can be as a supplier to work with. And we're probably on the other side of this. We're, $60-ish billion enterprise business, right? But when you look at and you listen to what our CEO has been talking about, our 2 primary assets are wireless connectivity and wireline connectivity. Yeah. And as we've been sort of peeling some of the services out of our business recently, we took our cybersecurity business and we set up a new standalone business called Level Blue, right? We've been simplifying for the benefit of how do we get really good at what our core is and how do we get really good at helping partners position connectivity, because when you think of where everyone's going and where technology's going, nothing works without good connectivity. Yeah. And you could argue it's being somewhat commoditized, but the issue is it's still incredibly important. And being able to have connectivity that is sort of access independent. It could be wired, it could be wireless, it could be mobile, it could be all over the place. And so we believe the strategy that we have a company has sort of set out for is there's some owner economics for us when we look at the competitive landscape of having both a wireless network and a wireline network and trying to, in a commoditizing world, right? Because if you look at, I don't know what your guys' statistics are, But at a different TSD event I was recently at, it talks about IT budgets, customer IT budgets going forward. Budgets are flat, but need for technology is increasing. And the need for technology is increasing in cybersecurity, it's increasing in AI. So if the customer budget is flat, but there's these new categories that need to be spent on, it has to come from somewhere, right? And so for us, we're shifting away. We're a heavy investment in indirect, understanding that customers don't necessarily want to work directly with a supplier. They want to work with a strategist or a partner that can represent multiple best-in-breed solutions, right? And then for us, it's a matter of how do you make it easier to work with us? How do you make it easier to transact with us? And provide something that allows the strategist to go out and meet a customer's need, right? So we're simplifying, and as a process-rich company, we're trying to have less process and just be easier to work with.
Got it. Makes sense. Charlie, since everybody went, you have something to add?
Just briefly, simply, Granite is all about growth. Some people may be aware that the owner of Granite is a salesperson.
Yeah.
He's not an engineer, he's not an ops guy, he's a salesperson. So every single day we show up trying to figure out what can we do next. And I guess if anything, we were fortunate enough early on to listen to what our clients were asking us for. So growth for us, working with strategists, is how can we make sure we're delivering what clients are asking us for, and whether that's the evolution of technology in our industry, leveraging AI. I know we're going to talk about that, but what are they looking for? So we're going to continue to grow our business based on what clients are telling us they need. And fortunate enough to be able to leverage a lot of the
yeah, you're in the interesting position of being both, in some ways, competitor and partner to basically.
Sure, we'll touch on
stage,
that
right?
throughout this call.
Totally get it, which is a good kind of carryover. Let's talk about the partner story real quick. We saw these slides, 70% through the channel. This is an interesting graphic on kind of how the channel has changed, like what's been sold through this channel specifically, and how that's expanded over recent years. And then this is just sort of a channel mix by product segment. Not sure if you guys agree or disagree with some of the numbers on here, but you've seen these slides. The navy or the dark is what percentage of these categories is distributed through the agency style of channel. So I want to just pick on a couple things. First, when we get into this channel piece, I'm going to go to Tyler, because Tyler, I'll flash back to the numbers so that you see it. Mm-hmm. Kind of the lowest number on here, and Chris probably has something to say here as well, from a penetration perspective, is wireless. And yeah, Chris, you just told a great story about there's two ways to get from point A to point B, and one half of that story is wireless, right? So tell us a little bit about that. Give us the wireless story, because it's something that we've made investments in the lifecycle business. We've got a wireless management group internal to Bridgepointe right now. That's been part of the story in the enhanced partnership that we put in place, not just connectivity. Talk about wireless as part of the channel story.
Yeah, so just to dig into the numbers real quick, today we distribute, of our total wireless growth that we're doing, about 20% of it goes through the channel today, with, as I said earlier, aspirations to do even more. But what makes wireless important, it was actually said here on the stage, in this world of convergence, when it comes to connectivity, wireless is a very meaningful way that customers need to stay connected to their data. Whether that is as simple as providing, we have a wireless business internet product that is rapidly growing. I think we're doing somewhere between 150 to 200,000 net additions each quarter with that product. But what your customers are looking for, they're looking for partners that can do it all for them and provide the right kind of connectivity wherever they are, whether that is inside the four walls or outside the four walls. Wireless becomes a really important component for your customers, for our customers, to ensure that their employees stay connected when they need to be connected.
Care to weigh in a little bit?
Yeah, I think if you think back, I've done 2 stints in the channel, right? And once upon a time, I was an employee of Singular Wireless. And I think to this channel, wireless traditionally started as, iPhones and smartphones. And when you think of this channel, the issue is you all serve a purpose with customers to procure technology that's not always easy to procure. Like, you don't go to a street corner and buy UCaaS or contact center.
No?
Right? There's a lot of distribution in the smartphone space, right? And because of that, I think this channel kind of avoided wireless for a long time because it was smartphone. And smartphone is different than selling the classic connectivity, the wireline connectivity. And the economics of it are different, right? And it historically hasn't been a residual business. And this channel is built on the residual business. I think as we've gotten towards 5G and you think about the future, wireless is not smartphones. The smartphone business is relatively saturated. If you know, there's probably 3 smartphones for every human being over 7 years old out there, right? So it's a saturated space. But when you start thinking of, and this is what we did actually when I was at Singular Wireless, right? We were doing Internet of Things before it was called Internet of Things. And really, what you all are doing and what your customers are doing is wireless has become just data connectivity in a wireless way. Yeah. And that can be done on a residual. The economics of how we deliver 5G is changing, so you can use 5G wireless data as an alternative to connectivity. But if you think about it for data applications, it wasn't that long ago that you'd drive down the street and you'd say whoever you were talking, hold on, I'm going under a bridge. I'm going to lose you for 45 seconds. I'll call you back.
Yeah.
That doesn't work with data applications, right? When you get into data applications, you need reliable, predictable connectivity, right? And so now when you think about 5G and forward, the economics of it, the way we deliver the service, that level of reliability that you take for a data solution can happen. Now, I think for all of you, the key is it's a different economic model when you think of the commission structure. 20% of fixed wireless is very different than 20% of a fiber circuit, right? But there's a lot more device volume. There's a lot more volume when you think about it. So it's something that for this channel, I would argue that you need to, smartphones and iPhones and iPads are going to be a part of it. But you need to think beyond that into where does wireless, what does your customer want to wirelessly enable and not have a plug plugged into it? Mm-hmm. That's what wireless needs to be for the future. But it's a slightly different mindset.
It is. Okay. Makes sense. Let's just chat ecosystem real quick. You're all listed up there at the top. I shared this graphic with these guys in advance. Bridgepointe operates slightly differently. As you know, and we've been talking about all day long, as both, master agent, end agent, sort of in hybrid. It's Chris, you and I were talking last night. I'm like, when we have a big enterprise appointment, it doesn't look like a multi-level marketing scheme when we all show up, right? Everybody's got a Bridgepointe email address, and we can sell at that level. I'm curious, is that us telling you that's an advantage? Or do you see that advantage and difference in your interaction with us? Charlie, I'm going to come to you on that one. Do you see the way we go to market is different than the people that we compete against?
Absolutely, and it's for us the synergy is clear because Granite's built a brand that we're going out there and we're saying we're Granite. And again, fortunate enough to be able to bring the solutions that everyone, the people on both sides of me are bring to the table. Simply, we're a child of the channel. Granite doesn't exist without their channel distribution program, without their wholesale program. But when you go to the table with a straightforward solution and you're not bringing multiple names at all times, we have no problem admitting who our underlying providers are, but we're not talking underlying provider. Initially, we're talking Granite. And with Bridgepointe, we're talking about whether it's project management support, wireless integration activity. It's not confusing the end users. So the strategists out there have the ability, without making this a Granite commercial, but they have the ability to ensure that when every email address out there now is Bridgepointe, right? Mm-hmm. They're getting a Granite email if they're teaming with us when we're sitting at the table. Leverage that, take advantage of that, because it simplifies and clarifies in a way that perhaps end users weren't seeing in the past.
Does the clean go-to-market across everybody and with our team help elevate the level of discussion and size account that we can get into? Anybody can take that. Anybody?
I think it absolutely does. I mean, I think one of the things that we really appreciate about the relationship with Bridgepointe is the focus on the upper market and the enterprise, and the fact that the resources that you're bringing to bear are focused on specific outcomes that are driven by solutions that are in 1 to 3 towers of technology, and maybe a 4th tower with AI coming on board soon. And so we see that as a similar motion that we have that I do believe not only is distinct, but allows you to apply focus in a more meaningful way. Now, that being said, we're like Switzerland, right? If I'm sitting at the, name the other, one of the masters of TSD.
We don't name any of them.
We would say kind things here. But I do think that differentiation that you have allows you to do some unique things and drive more trust.
Yeah.
And more consistent trust through that 2nd and 3rd contract life cycle, which is one of the things that, I think we're really excited about seeing all the growth inside of Bridgepointe, because your churn metrics are better, right? I don't know that you know that.
I'm thrilled to know that.
We'll take it. Right?
I mean, we're watching it. That bears stating again. So in Comcast land, our churn metrics are better than your other distribution channels. Yep. Okay.
I just want to echo kind of what you guys have been saying about the uniqueness of Bridgepointe. I think you guys are the perfect partner for Lumen. Our team loves working with you. It's because of the way that you're positioned and that you can add so much more value than some of the other partners out there that we're working with. The trust is there, the operational rigor is there, and it's really helpful for somebody who's trying to transform Lumen, trying to transform in this space right now, to have this this partner that actually can go, whether or not you want to do it yourself or you want to collaborate or whatever it is that the customer experience is asking for. It's really nice, and it's nice to know that you guys are there with all of that expertise and that value add that oftentimes we don't get.
That's awesome, Chris.
Yeah, I was going to say, the way you framed it, I would not focus on you have a single email address, right? That underwhelms what you are, right? But I agree with one of the things Chris said, right? We love all the TSDs. If you're a supplier, what you love is the indirect motion. And there are different TSDs that have different, not everyone, it's a big enough marketplace, it's a big enough customer base that we as suppliers need all of you. But you all have your own secret sauce, right? Certainly. And as a partner or a strategist, you're going to pick where you think you can go the best. I think what Bridgepointe does bring to the table from a supplier perspective is you're very clear on what you are and what you aren't. And when you get into a customer relationship, you can go deep and wide, right? There are a lot of places where we can go sit on a stage, and with a single customer, that TSD might have 6 or 7 different partners in that customer, because the partner is a specialty, right? And with what you're doing with all the stuff Sterl's talking about and what you're doing with the signal and everything else, you're not just focused on what the partner knows, you're helping the strategist to have their relationship expanded, right? And you're doing a little bit of what we try to do with our sort of direct sales force, which is help the strategist say, you're good at this, you got into the customer for this reason, but here are the things you can sell sideways, right? Yeah. And so what you're doing is enabling the strategist to be that much better. And that's not what every other TSD necessarily is doing. And everyone has their own value prop, right? And that's great for the industry.
I appreciate the comment about clarity. Just quickly, a little bit of data on here. This is from the Channel Futures survey that agents have filled out effectively with Channel Futures. Biggest sources of competition in 24, vendor direct sales teams, 40%. Most important resources for your business from suppliers, lead generation. No shit. Right? I think we all understand that. But let's focus on the left for a moment. In our community, 44% of our suppliers reported sharing a lead with us in some way. Maybe it's just a personal relationship, not a programmatic thing. We were talking a little bit about that last night. Let's just talk at a high level, and I think this is really important so we can take as much time on it. what is your channel alignment strategy, right? Because every one of us, and we're all on the same team here. You've all broken up the fights. We've all broken up the fights. We've all had I get it. You all have direct sales teams as well. Just how should we think about this? Bree, I'm going to come to you because we talked quite a bit about it last night. We've been fairly well directly aligned with your team, at least sort of in a grassroots model, right? Where we've been kind of getting aligned. We've all seen what Sterl was putting up there, like we're gonna lay in some tech to make this a little bit easier for alignment in the field. How do you think about us in terms of alignment?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think Lumen's doing this really big shift to make it easier to do business with us. Like Chris said, I think we have the same common goal there. Because, for the most part, at least digging in for the last 2 months in our operations, it's been very tricky, and we haven't really set our partners up for optimal success with our systems and tools and whatnot. So we're doing this big shift and this big change and this investment into making it easier to do business with us across all the different motions, right? Because we do have a direct team, obviously. We have a teaming, we've established a great teaming model. We also have a model that is partner-led, but it's not quite there yet, right? So until everything and all of our systems and tools and the way that we have channel direct conflict, all of that is mitigated in the way that we're trying to mitigate that. We're setting ourselves up for success in that round. We do not want this to be a situation where we're shifting or we're trying to get the partners to do one or the other. It's going to be based on the customer experience and what that customer wants and how that conversation is being driven by the customer. And so we really want to kind of level the playing field and have an opportunity for partners to attack that deal in any scenario that they want.
Yeah. Charlie, we have a great sort of poster child teaming story. You can mention the account if you want. It's up to you if you choose to do that. But just tell us a little bit about how that came together.
Sure. I think everyone's aware that, granted, we went around and put people's invoices on a single platform. That's not a technology sale. It was a nice solution, but it wasn't a technology sale.
Yeah.
We consider ourselves a technology solution provider today. So to do that, we absolutely have to leverage the strategists in this room, because our relationships tend to be with the people who are interested in paying fewer invoices and perhaps saving some money, which we were really good at for years. Small retailer out of Arkansas, begins with the W, you may have heard of it.
Little one.
Been with us for almost the entire existence of Granite. One of those clients that we listened to who sold us what they needed, and we decided, okay, yeah, we'll do that. And that's how we became a client. But very simply, Bridgepointe relationships and capabilities, the project management side, et cetera, relationships with that end user allowed us to start talking to the people who actually make the decisions and drive what's next for this retailer's future from a technology standpoint. And we talked about wireless and even terrestrial connectivity and lower percent from the channel. Actually, both of those solutions are over half of Granite's channel productivity. The channel is deriving more than half of our wireless data and connectivity sales. But then you talk about these solutions to layer on top. Without Bridgepointe's relationship and skill set, that retailer wouldn't be talking to us today about something that's going to deliver. Everyone on this is going to be excited because they're all getting a piece of this. Deliver a multiple comma revenue number over the next 5 to 8 years.
Amazing story.
So it wouldn't have happened, and that's what we're doing every day today, is making sure that partners understand we did a great job aggregating invoices, but to sell technology, we need people who have those relationships, and we're very excited to continue to bring our stability and ability to compensate partners who partner with us to bring it to the table and get it done.
Amazing story. Everybody wants to jump on this one. Chris got my eyeball first. I'll come back and then tell
I was just going to, your statistic you shared a minute ago, I'm going to actually challenge that and say I fully disagree with what Channel Futures is saying.
Okay, let's go back.
Because
You've never been controversial ever, so
61% of you want lead generation. It all depends on what you want as lead generation. My experience over 8 years of doing this, the lead that you all want is a contract that we need signed.
Yeah.
Right? That's not lead generation, right? And I think there's a debate. We would debate with you, what is lead generation?
Couldn't agree more.
Right? What I will tell you though, and your other thing, don't worry about it. From our perspective, we're about independent selling, right? If you're thinking about the channel and where the channel is going to be in 10 years, the suppliers that are funding the channel, because at the end of the day, we are funding the channel, they're not going to be able to afford to pay everyone. You can't pay you can't pay a direct seller, you can't pay a channel manager, you can't pay. So the channel of 10 years ago, which was help me get this contract inked and booked, the ROI of that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And so I think when you think about the channel, the larger channel, and you think about over the last couple of years, there's some people that have entered in it, which is almost like a referral model, which is Monty Hall-like spiffs. You find a customer, you send it to us, we'll do all the work, we'll pay you a shitload of money, and we're all happy. That's an economic model that doesn't work for the long run, right? Yeah. So when you think about how do you succeed in the future with probably the big suppliers like us that underwrite the channel? At the end of the day, these carriers underwrite the channel. Other suppliers sort of live in it.
Yeah.
It needs to be economically beneficial for you, and it needs to be economically beneficial for the supplier, which means you need to have independent customer relationships that you can go out there, you can engage, you can bring opportunities in, and you can close business without a huge investment from the supplier. Because if all you are doing is
tag me. Yeah.
Or I have a relationship, or my brother's sister's uncle's aunt knows someone, that's not worth what we're paying in residual commission. And from a supplier perspective, at least from our perspective, we want independent channel partners leading and driving relationships, because customers are moving away from a single supplier mindset. The whole reason Granite is as successful as they are, right, is they can provide multiple suppliers in a single relationship, single bill, single point, and so for the big suppliers that aren't necessarily doing all that, what we want to do is we want to work with someone who can insert us into a relationship, and our direct sellers are not providing best-in-breed solutions. They're providing best-in-breed solutions as offered on our paper.
Yeah.
Which may not always be best in breed. So I think the future of the channel is you need to be independently selling and independently making it easy for people like us to go into where we live and say, if your company is investing the next dollar, you want it invested in the channel, not invested in a direct seller.
Yeah, I'm going to respectfully disagree. We weren't historically known as the most channel-friendly organization. We had bucketed certain things and said, hey, let's get after it, and we were together have been wildly successful. Over the last 18 months, we made two huge pivots. One was giving you access to the full Comcast platform, not just pieces of it. So like I said, there's no deal too big that will do very custom things that we have our custom enterprise. We have our platform enterprise groups, and then our mid-market platforms, and then our SMB solution set. Those things are all available now through the channel. The second thing that we decided was, in this age of complexity accelerating, we heard a lot about that earlier, not only do we see exponential growth in technology, but we see exponential change occurring with the challenge of the CIO's role. So I think your role becomes much, much more valuable because you have a much wider perspective than any one of us have individually. And so our ability to team just makes sense when it makes sense. And so I think there's actually a couple proof points here in the room where we've teamed with our enterprise teams, or we've teamed with a field direct seller, and we've made it friendly and not, the knife fights that occur out in the field for larger opportunities. Now, we're not doing this for SMB, but for that, we've made it easy. And I think, a couple of the other vendors have similar strategies to that as well.
Well, and I wouldn't disagree. if you think about Comcast and AT&T, we come at it historically from a
very different
from a different perspective. And if you think about where we're coming at it from, we're going to have slightly different strategies on the same exact goal, which is you don't want to go fight in front of Charlie's Big W customer.
Right, exactly.
But you're perfectly happy to fight in front of a nail salon or whatever, right? So.
But I think the key that, and Tyler, I want to come to you on this one as well. I think the key here, though, has been echoed throughout all of the things that we've said so far today, which is if we're adding value,
Yes.
your game to team, and we've made significant investments to make sure that we're adding value beyond tag me.
That's right.
Right? So I think we get that, right? Doesn't mean we still don't get the calls and we're still not on the phone with you guys. But Tyler, go ahead. Do you have anything to add there?
You took exactly what I was going to say. It's about providing value.
Yeah.
You can provide value, whether it's in the relationship, the solutions you can provide. By all means, we're going to want to team on those. We're going to allow you to go independent when it makes sense for you to go independent. But when we typically see the worst clashes, when the value isn't clear. And when the value isn't clear, that's when we all have to kind of reassess what are we going to do on a specific account or opportunity. So we're trying to avoid those as much as we can. But when you can provide value, it's hard to argue, hey, we shouldn't team on this.
Yeah. Thank you for giving a commercial for our services business attached to. I appreciate that. Well, we went over and I had like 4 more questions, so I'm going to stop here and just any parting thoughts from any of you that you didn't get out that you wanted to get going?
I'll just repeat where I started. First, with a thank you. Thank you for allowing us to be here. I'm excited to be here representing Verizon here with you all. I think probably for the first time with a direct relationship. So excited about that. And then what you all should know is that our intention is to continue to grow the channel, to continue to invest in our relationships, invest in making it more simple to do business with Verizon. That's not always historically simple to do business with. And that's my commitment, that's my charter, is how do we do that and how do we double this business together over the next coming 3 years is my exact time frame. So.
Fantastic. Anybody else before we end it?
I echo what he said. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being here. I've learned a lot. I think I'm so excited for this particular partnership, mainly because the boys in front, and we're like locals, so I get to go and work out of their office sometimes, which is fun. But no, I mean, in all honesty, I think that there's a lot of future with Lumen and Bridgepointe, and I'm excited to be innovative and figure out what that value add looks like and how we can scale.
Scott, you had put up the slide about the percentage of business going through the channel and technology.
Yep.
It's very, very clear that the channel is the future of this industry. It's very clear, at least to me. And Granite is on board. We've more than doubled our staff, our investment with partners, and all the way up to executive alignment and some of the things we're doing that we were talking about before. Yep. So I've never been more excited and more bullish about the potential for this industry and the people in this audience, especially in a collaborative effort to get where we're all trying to go.
Fantastic. Since we got those, you guys have anything to add?
I mean, again, to echo everybody else, thank you. I do think it's a responsibility by all of us to enhance the cybersecurity posture of our customers, and we can really help from a network perspective. And I know you have solution categories that cover the entire NIST framework, but the cyber challenges that we face are not insignificant as an industry, community, and as all businesses in North America. And we just want to have a right to help and to compete, and hopefully the right to win.
No, I just finished, Scott, by just saying AT&T's has a long relationship with Bridgepointe, right? And we have a huge focus on growing indirect, and I think don't misinterpret anything I said. I think the whole industry wants more and more out of indirect. Everyone's investing in it. It's a matter of how we invest in it, so it's a win-win for everyone. Yeah. This is where the growth comes from, not from a direct seller. It comes from here.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you all. Can we give it up for our panelists? I want to just thank all of you. This is, quite the panel of dignitaries here gracing us with their presence. Great panel. I appreciate it, everybody. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.